He is a researcher, an author, and a new Republican, also a contributor on Fox News. And he wrote a book. He authored a book called Jumping the Aisle, How I Became a Black Republican in the Age of Obama. So please welcome with me Mr. Oliver McGee. As long as the CEOs of these companies are only worried about their golden parachutes and only worried about their bonus programs and only worried about the bottom line, like Mr. Romney was, the kind of CEO he's like a normal, typical CEO now. As long as they're so focused only on the bottom line, they're not going to want to. Private industry is not going to want to help in disaster relief unless there's something that they can get out of it.
That's the key. Leadership is about providing motivations and incentives. That's a proper use of tax policy. Being able to have tax incentives is not just sit and watch a hug fest on television between two political leaders before an election, but roll up your sleeve and put some of your capital in there and shift from shareholder value to stakeholder value. Because when New York actually has this next rolling blackout, and that will come, how do you walk people over to George Washington Bridge? How do you get them home? And then when the lights do go off in New York, not just for 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights, but for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, not for 1 month, 3 months, what do we do?
Mm-hmm.
Disaster recovery is the brand new skills development that's necessary in this country.
Hello? Did we lose you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. What do we do when we go and look at this debate on Deeyoon.com, Deeyoon? I keep spelling it because it's a new social network of streaming online. When we look at this debate between an ordinary professor at a historically black college and university talking about private interest to a public official who was the chief of FEMA for President Bush, I believe that you put your best friend in charge of FEMA because it will save the politics of national disasters of your presidency. So we can see what that does if you don't get in there and rescue people in these disaster zones. This is going to be the new development of skills that's necessary so that we can be able to save and recover our natural resources and our cities when they get hit by natural disasters, man-made or acts of God. If we think this is not going to happen 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 times under the next Obama term, then we got our heads in the sand. The new engineering is called mega-scale engineering and operations. We saw what was necessary in mega-scale engineering and operations when we had the oil spill in BP. We sent the lawyers down there and we passed out felony charges, but guess what? We could not really get in there and figure out how to stop the oil underneath water without getting the help from BP. That's private industry.
Yeah. But you think it would have been different under a Republican lead?
I think both. This is why Jumping the Aisle is such an important book. Both the left and the right would have failed without having public-private partnerships involved on mega-scale engineering operations and helping the government with industry to be able to get this piece under our belt. More importantly, we had better have the skills development in society. We better have young people skilled and trained in disaster recovery. We better have engineers and scientists and mathematicians to model what are we going to be doing to solve those problems. I analyze aircraft engine propulsion and do thermofluid sciences. I teach black kids rocket science at Howard University. I am so passionate in my class because I'm saying think big, think new, think fast, because we're going to need you going forward to solve these disaster recovery problems. We need you to do mega-scale engineering and operations when we have not only disaster recovery problems, but also how do we come with disaster mitigation solutions. Am I preaching, brothers and sisters?
Well, let me. Yes, you are. But let me say this, and this is why I like my president, and I hope I'm not preaching. But this is why I like my president. If it's a good idea, I think that he is more concerned, which is evident in the fact that what do you call this thing? Guantanamo isn't closed, or why he has maintained some of the things that Bush had, that he wanted to change, that he said he was going to change, but didn't. If it's a good idea, I don't think that he cares about whether it's an idea of the left or of the right. I think that if it's a good idea, if the private sector taking care of disaster recovery is a good idea, I think our president would be open to it. I don't think that he's so stuck on ideology. I think that this part of him, this thing that he does like that, this thing that he wants good ideas, and that he doesn't really care about partisanship in that respect, is the change that I voted for. Now, people say, "Oh, did you get change?" and there's no transparency or whatever. I understand there's going to have to be closed-door meetings, all that kind of stuff. The change that I voted for in 2008 was a change in the way a person approaches ideas. We know that George Bush used to shoot first and ask questions later. This guy is pragmatic. This guy thinks, and like you said, he's pretty brilliant. And I like the fact that he's slow to talk and slow to make a decision, kind of slow to make a decision. But he's very strong when he needs to be. Look at the decision to take out bin Laden. Or we haven't heard anything about those Somali pirates since he took those pirates out. Remember when they had the boat overtaken, the merchant marines from Boston? He gave the order to take them out, take the boys out, and they captured one. One is in jail, but they killed all of the rest of them. You don't hear anything more about the Somali pirates taking over our ships. So that's the change that I like. But I think that him making these, I think that if it's a good idea, and to me it sounds like it is, if it's a good idea, I think he would be open for it. And I think that is what's different with the Republican Party and some Dems. I think that some Dems are going to be stuck on the past or the past way of thinking. But I think that this guy's flexible. I think he has that flexibility that you talked about.
And I appreciate your opinion on that. And one of the reasons that I wrote the book, Jumping the Aisle, is, the subtitle of this book is How Did I Become a Black Republican in the Age of Obama? But Jumping the Aisle is a series. I have several other books that come out. Mm-hmm. And it was a wonderful experience in writing. It is a play card for going forward in the post-Obama era, because all the things that you've articulated you like about the Obama era, well, that sets the play card for going forward beyond 2016, so that the American electorate can evolve and actually learn from the change to actually transform itself. It could be the Obama era is a transitional presidency rather than a transformative one. And if it is a transitional presidency, where are we transitioning to? Jumping the Aisle, my book, is about that transition, not necessarily a transformation, but a transition to the next generation and the generation after next, our grandchildren and our children's grandchildren. And then what are we going to be doing when we get to America's tercentennial? That's our third century, and are we going to be viable? When you look at the history of civilizations around the world, to make it past the 3-century mark is not a usual point. It's an anomaly. Is America able to cross over to its third centennial and still be the power that it was and it is? Can it still be that in America's tercentennial? That's the question what Jumping the Aisle is making in doing. First of all, let's respect the history. We as African Americans were respecting history when we elected Obama. But at the same time, showing the way of open change. Are we script-binding America, or are we actually giving hope and change and moving forward? And when you look at the African-American community with double-digit unemployment, with double-digit poverty, cities going to hell in a handbasket, and schools that we're not graduating African-American males with high school diplomas. We're not even talking about college. They can't even come and see me at Howard if you're not graduating from high school. Then how do we chart the vision for the future with that? How do we chart the vision for the future in capital formation and technology development? And then how do we make our country competitive? And is our country going to be sustainable in this competition if we're overtaxing it? We're making the government so much bigger in our lives, and that we're having so much regulation, and then we're not having the strongest possible defense because the world will not wait for us to be able to behave itself.
Wait a minute. We got a lot of stuff to do. And even the magic Negro can't handle it all immediately. But we're down to 3 minutes left on the show. Now, I thank you so much for coming on. Please tell everybody where they can get the book.
You can get Jump in the Aisle, How It Became a Black Republican in the Age of Obama on Amazon.com, or you can visit my website, olivermcgee.org. And I would also like your viewers to visit Deeyoon, Deeyoon, and watch me and Michael Brown talk about disaster recovery. Can private business fail?
I can't believe you are talking disaster recovery with Brownie.
You believe it? And guess what? We're the second highest political debate on Deeyoon, this brand new, magnificent debate forum streaming online, behind the great Harvard professor, Alan Berkowitz.
I can't believe this. I got to go and see what's said. Everybody, these links are going to be up on the website tonight, ttylertalksonline.com tonight. Thank you so much for coming out, and I have to get you back because I want to talk about your new party. Now that you're sitting on the other side of the aisle, I want to talk about how they're going to win hearts and minds in the future.
Our next conversation, I'll give you some wonderful secrets of the trade because I'll tell you, that'd be a great conversation for us.
Yes.
That party is being transformed.
Yes, I need to talk to you about that. Who's going to be your leader? What's up with this Reince Priebus? What's he doing? He delivered nothing. Remember Michael Steele? I wasn't a fan of his, but y'all might need to call him back. Bobby Jindal, I don't buy it. Now he's coming out against Mitt Romney, and then you have Rubio. Just because you have an O at the end of your name does not mean that you embraced your people.
Think of it, Tanya. Obama's the O on the left, and Oliver's the O on the right.
You are too funny. Well, we have to get you back on. Ladies and gentlemen, I like him. I like a Republican. Oliver McGee. A fine fellow. Professor at Howard University. And we also have to talk about HBCUs.
Yes, and
we also have to talk about HBCUs. Yes, can you hear me?
Bipartisanship in Washington, D.C., right here on the Tanya Show.
Yes. We will get you back on. We have to talk this week about you coming back because we have to continue. There's so many things I need to talk to you about, especially about HBCUs and how they're going to survive. So let's talk about that too.
Thank you so much, Tanya, for having me on your show, and I'm really honored. And my brother, the rapper, thank you.
Yes, he just signed off. He had to get going, but I thank you so much for coming through. Okay.
Thank you.
Oliver McGee, ladies and gentlemen, a great guy. I like him. I know he's a Republican. You know I don't really like Republicans, but I like him. Again, all of the links he talked about, Deeyoon, Deeyoon, will be up on the website tonight, as well as olivermcgee.org. And also his book can be found on Amazon. Great read. I recommend it. He is, and I know I didn't do him any justice in bringing him in, but he is a very smart fellow, appointed by former U.S. President Willie Clinton, one of our guys, and he is a professor of mechanical engineering at Howard University, so he's a very smart guy. I enjoyed him immensely, and we will definitely have him back on because I got a lot of things to talk to him about. But we're out of talk time. So I will see you guys next week, next Friday. We